Well, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. Excited to be with you. It's 12:30 in the morning. You know what? This is the third attempt at recording this show. Something has gone wrong each time. I had a similar thing happen with another show. I don't know, like I forget to hit a button, or I hit a button and then something fades out. So I will, there's a lot of news breaking right now, isn't there? There just is. And I'm going to have some fun with this one. I'm going to actually share you something really funny, absolutely one of the funniest pieces of writing I've ever heard. This is out of the New York Post. And then we're going to go into just a number of news stories and where all this might be leading and what's going on out there. Not that we ever really fully know, and especially lately we don't seem to really fully know. But I do want to mention last day for the merch is tomorrow. Look at, gosh, I got coffee spill all over my mug, but there's my Lumberjack Logic mug. I got the shirt, the mask, and the hoodie. And the hoodie will have the logo applied to it. That's just an example. All of it's good fabrics, okay? These are performance fabrics, not something that's just going to shrink up on you. And the logo is dye sublimated, meaning that's infused right into the fabric, so it's not just going to peel off. Hoodie is $69, t-shirt's $26, the mug is $14, and the mask is $11. You can get them all. Normally be $120. I'm doing the Paul Bunyan pack, $5 off and ships for free. The others, the shipping will just be what the shipping is. You will have to send me an email at nljbooks@gmail.com. nljbooks@gmail.com. Send me an email. Tell me what you want. The t-shirts are available in men's or women's sizes, okay? And then let me know. And then from there, I can process a credit card or we can do a check. And I will just reach out to you with totals and all of that. So anyways, thanks so much for those of you that have already picked up merchandise. Josh and Crystal and Nathan and Matt and Vinny. And there's just so many. I can't even remember all the names. But thank you, because that's the only thing that I'm doing to support this show, because obviously the channel isn't monetized, and Lord knows with the whole way the crazy thing is going, will it ever be monetized? That's why I am encouraging you to, as a fail-safe, as a backup plan, make sure you subscribe to Lumberjack Logic on Rumble. Just search the channels on Rumble and subscribe to Lumberjack Logic there, or you can subscribe to Neil J, and that will get you to both my accounts, which is Neil of the North and Lumberjack Logic, where I go into some other things like photography and home improvement and stuff like that. So anyways, all that being said, let's just dive right in. This is from October 11th, 2020. Absolutely one of the funniest pieces of writing I've ever read. I was in stitches first time I read it. Miranda Devine is the author. I don't know who she is, but she writes for the New York Post. Nancy Pelosi's latest stunt proves she's obsessed with President Trump. When announcing her 25th Amendment ploy, again, this is back in October, 25th Amendment. Nothing's new under the sun, folks. Nothing new under the sun. When announcing her 25th Amendment ploy, questioning the president's fitness to serve, Nancy Pelosi last week bizarrely criticized President Trump's erotic behavior. She was responding on ABC's The View to a Trump tweet about the stimulus bill that flashed up on the screen. What do you think is causing this erratic behavior? The House Speaker was asked. Well, I think it's true to form, she said. The president has always had erotic behavior. Perhaps she meant to say erratic, but her Freudian slip begs the question, is Nancy Pelosi secretly in love with the president? She definitely is obsessed with him. Morning, noon, and night, Trump is in her thoughts and on her lips. She brings him up spontaneously in interviews. She talks about his manhood and his fitness, and once called him a big humma-humma. She quivers at the sound of his name. She frets about his health and claims constantly to pray for him. She has confessed he gives her sleepless nights. Whether or not heart sickness is Pelosi's ailment, she always finds a way to talk about the younger man. Perhaps the California Democrat realizes that when you belong to a party that has horsewhipped men into submission, there's not a lot of alpha male energy to be found. Surrounded by soy boys and pallid milquetoasts, left-wing women often secretly hanker for a Neanderthal macho man in their life. Clearly, Pelosi, 80, hates Trump now that he dismisses her as crazy Nancy and a sick puppy, and says her teeth are falling out and refuses to talk to her. But love and hate are closely intertwined in the human condition. Nothing makes a woman more spiteful than unrequited love. Pelosi and Trump's volcanic feud has shades of Anne Shirley and her classmate Gilbert Blythe in Anne of Green Gables. Gilbert pulls Anne's red braids and calls her carrots. She smashes a writing slate over his head, and they don't speak to each other for years. Dreams come true. But secretly you know someone has a crush. Or perhaps Pelosi sees herself more as Jane Austen's character, Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice, detesting Mr. Darcy with every fiber of her being until her dreams come true and she falls romantically into his arms. From the very beginning, your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain of the feelings of others have built so immovable a dislike, spits Ms. Bennet at the object of her passions. Slightly less poetically, Pelosi uses words as weapons. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that hasn't been approved by scientists, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group. Morbidly obese, they say. I remember that moment. It's hilarious. But he seems to be in denial about the effect he has on her. But she seems to be in denial about the effect he has on her. Even when she was fashioning her strange 25th Amendment legislation, she insisted, "This is not about President Trump." The lady doth protest too much, methinks. How else do you account for the extraordinary, emotional, and unprofessional way in which Pelosi has carried out her role as Speaker of the House? And then it goes on, but this line, "Get a grip, woman. He's really not that into you." And then it goes on for much longer. It's hilarious. I will link to this article. It is absolutely funny. Look in the description below. Okay. Now, this is out of Just the News. This is from today. And it is, we already know this. Troops say anti-sedition letter from military brass restates the obvious. Memo from the Joint Chiefs of Staff reminded service members of their oath to support and defend the Constitution. This is just interesting, okay? Active duty troops and military civilian leaders on Wednesday expressed puzzlement over an unprecedented memo from the Joint Chiefs of Staff that reminds service members that they are sworn to uphold the U.S. Constitution. The January 12th memorandum was signed by Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, along with Vice Chairman John Hyten and 6 uniformed service chiefs. Okay? He talked about the actions at the Capitol, and then they declared in the memo that service members swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay? Now, they could just be speaking about, the rioters who breached the Capitol, but we're not sure why that went out. An aide to one service secretary told Just the News. Ours is a highly trained professional force. They don't need to be reminded of basic fundamentals. We already know this stuff, one Marine Corps sergeant said. People in my unit were saying this must be a joke. If it's not a joke, it's an insult. Milley's office did not immediately respond to a request for a comment from Just the News. The January letter is not Milley's first missive to state whether what an active duty airman called the obvious. Over the summer, the 4-star Army general asked the chiefs to deliver a message to their respective forces. Every member of the U.S. military swears an oath to support and defend the Constitution and the values embedded within it. This was back in June, in June 2nd memorandum. We will uphold the values of our nation and operate consistent with national laws and our own high standards of conduct at all times. Okay? Foreign and domestic. All right, so we just keep going through this news. Now, again, Nancy's unhinged. She talked to the Joint Chiefs Chair about preventing an unstable president from ordering a nuclear strike. This, folks, is an actual act of sedition. She's trying to do an end around the president. Okay, I'm going to go to this story here from Breitbart. Pelosi says she's talked to Trump military chief about preventing Trump from ordering a nuclear strike. Now, interestingly, the New York Times actually was the one that first reported this story, and they seem to have no issue with it at all. Of course not, right? So, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, said in a letter to her colleagues on Friday that she spoke to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, to discuss preventing President Donald Trump from ordering a nuclear strike. When has he ever said he would do that? I mean, it's just not on the radar. This morning, I spoke to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, to discuss available precautions for preventing an unstable president from initiating military hostilities or accessing launch codes and ordering a nuclear strike. She wrote this letter January 8th to her colleagues in a Dear Colleague letter, okay? Other Democrats in the House. And then she goes on about unhinged president. This is where it gets really weird. Listen to this. Nearly 50 years ago, after years of enabling their rogue president, Republicans in Congress finally told President Nixon that it was time to go. Isn't it funny that they bring up Nixon and Watergate? And what was he guilty of? Spying on the other campaign? What did Obama do? And hey, by the way, Trump's going to be releasing the classified documents and show us all how good old Obama and Clinton spied on his campaign. Okay? Nixon got booted. What happens to these jokers? Okay? Anyways, high crimes and misdemeanors, that's what that is. Okay? The ones that should have been prosecuted were the Bidens, okay, who now they're trying to give the election to. And these are the people who are actually on the take from Russia, Ukraine, China, okay, to the tunes of millions of dollars selling our country out. I digress. Okay. So, this is where it gets interesting. Jonathan Turley, I don't know, he's a Democrat lawyer. He questioned whether Milley even had the authority to prevent a president from exercising his constitutional authority under Article 2. I know of no authority by which the nuclear codes can be withheld from the president absent a declaration under Section 4 of the 25th Amendment. Absent such a declaration, such an action would be grounds for the removal of any military officer, he said. Turley goes on, I am perplexed by Speaker Pelosi's suggestion that military officers can bar the commander-in-chief from exercising his constitutional authority under Article 2. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, she's performing seditious acts. She is acting like just a crazed, deranged maniac. I mean, what has got her so worried? I mean, are they actually just, well, I mean, obviously, okay, you know, remember, Donald J. Trump, our president, was just impeached with no due process, no judiciary committee hearing, no witnesses, no testimony, and no right to defend himself? Nancy Pelosi violated the House rules just so she could impeach Trump. So she's committing seditious acts on the front of the military. Now she's breaking House rules to quote-unquote impeach President Trump, which is going to amount to nothing because it's not going to be taken up in the Senate. And then they talk about taking it up after he's gone. Well, then it has nothing to stick to. It's not a criminal proceeding. It's an impeachment. It's simply to remove a president, which he won't be president anymore. None of it makes any sense. Well, and people say, well, so he can't run again. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's nothing saying a president can't run again if he was impeached the second time. This is all craziness, okay? So are they really that worried? I mean, obviously, we know that some of these people have been on the take. Are they just that worried about the Insurrection Act? Are they that worried about martial law? Look, I get, you know, messages about this on Facebook, or I see posts and whatever. It's been going on forever. People are like, oh, it's going to happen this Friday, this, that, and the other. Get your stuff for 2 weeks. And it's never come to pass. I don't know if it will. Maybe it will. You know, I've always got a couple weeks worth of stuff. If you don't, you probably should. Okay? Just in case. But just in case anything. Okay? Come on, you got to be ready. I mean, what happens if you can't go to the grocery store? Now, there are starting to be some really interesting things happen surrounding China and surrounding voting. Okay? Little stories are starting to break. Does this go from little to big? Are we finally going to see the big stories come out? Let's see. Here we go. This is right from the U.S. Attorney's District of Massachusetts Department of Justice website. For immediate release, MIT professor arrested and charged with grant fraud. This is from today. Defendant allegedly failed to disclose his work for the People's Republic of China to the U.S. Department of Energy. Boston, a professor and researcher at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, was charged and arrested today in connection with failing to disclose contracts, appointments, and awards from various entities of the People's Republic of China, PRC, to the U.S. Department of Energy. Gang Chen is the gentleman's name. 56, was charged by criminal complaint with wire fraud, failing to file a foreign bank account report, an FBAR, and making a false statement in a tax return. Chen will make an initial appearance today before Magistrate Judge Donald L. Cable. According to charging documents, Chen is a naturalized U.S. citizen who was born in China. He is a professor and researcher at MIT, where he serves as director of the MIT Pappalardo Micro-Nano Engineering Laboratory and director of the Solid State Thermal Energy Conservation Center. Since approximately 2013, Chen's research at MIT has been funded by more than $19 million in grants awarded by various U.S. federal agencies. Okay, so something's going on there. I wonder if Biden's were involved in that. It seems like they're really into that China thing. Anyways, this one from the Washington Examiner. Texas woman arrested on voter fraud charges. Oh, I just said the F word. Okay. A Texas woman was arrested on voter charges Wednesday after a video from Project Veritas appeared to show her convincing an older woman to change her vote. Raquel Rodriguez was arrested in San Antonio, police told KSAT 12. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's office announced in a press release that Rodriguez is being charged with election, F word, illegal voting, unlawfully assisting people voting by mail, and unlawfully possessing an official ballot. Many continue to claim that there's no such thing as election fraud, Paxton said. We've always known that such a claim is false and misleading, and today we have additional hard evidence. This is a victory for our election integrity and a strong signal that anyone who attempts to defraud the people of Texas, deprive them of their vote, or undermine the integrity of elections will be brought to justice. I reported on this before, but that video, I think it involved 8,000 ballots, okay? So this is, came out of the Project Veritas video. James O'Keefe, you can look that up on their site if you want to. I will link to the Washington Examiner article. Then, this is right off the FCC's website. My dog's in here making noise, I'm sorry. The FCC reminds emergency alerts, she's the best dog in the world though. FCC reminds emergency alert system participants of compliance obligations. On January 7th, 2021, the FCC's Enforcement Bureau issued an enforcement advisory to remind emergency alert system participants of their obligation to comply with EAS rules, including ensuring that EAS alerts are accessible to persons with disabilities. The advisory also encourages consumers to report inaccessible EAS alerts. So why is the FCC all of a sudden reminding people about the EAS alerts and their obligations to it? It's just, I don't understand all this stuff going on. You know, people say, oh, there's 20,000 troops in D.C., which is nuts. Why? They don't need 20,000 troops in D.C. What are they looking for? You know, I mean, seriously, are they hauling people off to get them? I don't know, because this is crazy. I mean, you don't need 20,000 troops in D.C. right now. Do you know how many law enforcement officers there are out there? So what if maybe they'd bring in like 5,000 troops or something, but 20,000? This is over the top kind of stuff. I don't know what it's all about. You know, if they were looking for some foreign invasion, maybe, but I don't know. Twitter suspends Lauren Boebert. Now, this is the other thing. Big Tech has gone all in on censorship now. Twitter suspends Lauren Boebert from tweeting until Inauguration Day, then reverses. So they're going to just say, oh, yes, all these elected officials that we don't agree with, don't align with, don't agree with what they're having to say, we're going to suspend them. Now, they did reverse it, obviously, but this is the gal who packs a pistol. Lauren Boebert, and the reason Nancy Pelosi has to put in metal detectors at the Capitol. It's the most absurd thing. What does she think that this gal's going to stand up and shoot her? It's just so dumb. It's also dumb. Nancy is so petulant. She's such a little child. She's 80 years old. Anyways, Colorado Republican Representative Lauren Boebert had her Twitter feed temporarily suspended on Wednesday, only for Twitter to reverse its decision later in the day. Twitter locked down Boebert's account after she posted a tweet about former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, who ran against Trump in 2016. Hillary must be upset that I took the DNC until 2020 to successfully rig an election. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah, this is, they just can't, no, you cannot possibly say anything about that. That's just, impossible. So, look, there's not going to be any charges against Trump for inciting a riot. Give me a break. Okay, he never did. I was there. He spoke specifically about peacefully and patriotically protesting. Marching down to the Capitol and letting your voice be heard. Okay? Immediately when things started going bad, he tweeted out to respect law enforcement, that we're law and order, and he tweeted it out again as things went on. Okay, look, it's, maybe if he could go back, would he change some things in his speech? He probably partly feels responsible, all these different things, but they knew these attacks were taking place. It was the FBI knew, the Capitol Hill police knew. Not enough was done. I did a whole show on that. You can go check that out. Okay, there's some real issues going on here, and somebody actually on the inside helped them plan. Who was that? Again, it was all set up for optics, I believe. It completely felt like a setup when I was there. That's why I didn't engage in anything. I mean, I would have engaged anyways. I mean, I'm not going to duke it out with police officers. It's all craziness. So, anyhow, that's how that goes. That's not going anywhere. So, again, I understand a lot of you, myself included, we're very frustrated for a lot of reasons here, right? We're looking at this and we see a lot of things that weren't right. Cardboard over windows, skirted tables, kick and pull watchers out, all of that. I understand all that. There's real problems here. And I know it's easy to lose hope, but I don't believe God's given up on America yet. So whether that comes about by not allowing them to do all the things they want to do, to destroy the country, whether it comes about by way of some miraculous intervention before the 20th, I don't know. But, this could be one of those Red Sea moments. We've got to just continue to trust and walk this out, because God did not part the Red Sea before the children of Israel got there. He parted the sea when they had the faith to walk right up to that time. I am going to continue doing what I do. Okay, people have asked, what do we do now? I'm going to continue doing what I do. I'm going to continue to try and bring you this news. Things that don't seem right, we have to resist. We have to be the voice of resistance. We have to get into positions that maybe we didn't want to get into before. Maybe you run for mayor. Maybe you run for city council. Maybe you run for a congressional seat. Whatever it is, we're going to have to step up, because we're going to have to start imposing term limits on these people in the Republican Party. If you're in the Republican Party, or the Democrat Party, if you're in the Democrat Party, look, you got to start imposing the term limits in the primaries, and get the people that are wackies or people that are only out for their own self-serving interests out of it. I've never really wanted to run before. I mean, I've always taken an interest in politics, but it's always been one of those things where I've got a life I want to live and all of that. But we may just have to start giving that up, folks, and start running for office and doing the things that we need to do, and primarying these people out of there who have been in there for so long. Okay, Mitch McConnell needs to go. Nancy Pelosi needs to go. Come on, somebody in San Francisco we've put a good primary fight up against her. So that's where we're at as a nation. Again, we still, I know America has her faults, but you know what? We still send more missionaries across the world. We still give more to these causes. We still do more of this than any other country. And that does not come through theft by taxation and then giving it to foreign entities for politicians to get kickbacks and favors. That's not what I'm talking about by giving. Okay, liberals, that's absurd. Allow people to have more of their money and give freely. Freedom is always the answer. More personal freedom, economic freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. Burn your masks. All right? Thanks so much for listening to Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. I look forward to seeing you next time.